Right, welcome back. You're still watching the AM report. So the Eastern Cape Health Department says those implicated in the SIU investigation into fraudulent medical legal claims must be prosecuted. Nonquba Attorneys has been singled out as being among the biggest culprits in lodging fake claims. The report released by Health Minister Dr. Motsoaledi and the SIU lifted the lid on how the government has become a cash cow for lawyers, filling fraudulent medical legal claims. The department is facing claims of about 15 billion rand. For more on these findings, we are now joined by Eastern Cape Health Department's head, Dr. Rolene Wagner. Dr. Wagner, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. The numbers that are being looked at in the Eastern Cape, staggering, right? It's one of the provinces in the country that have the highest in terms of those fraudulent claims, or actually medical legal claims and then suspected fraudulent claims. But 15 billion rand, how much knowledge did you have of this investigation? I mean, the minister's certainly talking about a summit taking place all the way back in 2015. So how much work has been done by the provincial government Department of Health to look into fraudulent medical legal claims?
Good morning, Naledi, and good morning to the viewers. Thank you very much for the opportunity for us to discuss this very important matter to the sector. Maybe just to start off as to why it's important to us and to what extent we've been aware of it. Since the summit of 2015, the medical legal settlements that we've made, these upfront lump sum settlements, has had a huge impact on our ability to provide services on a day-to-day basis. Because it is considered to be unauthorized expenditure, when a settlement has to be made, that settlement comes out of our annual budget for that year. And so we've accumulated debt year on year since these claims have been escalating in our sector. Secondly, what you referred to as our contingent liability. So this is, if we were to take all of the claims against the state now, and if we had to settle them in this year, and it's obviously not practical, but if we were to, then it would come to an amount of about 22 billion rand. So since the report that was released, that 15 billion rand contingent liability is estimated to be around 22.3 billion rand for our province. Now, this is obviously of concern to us, obviously, because it affects the ability to provide quality care. But what has been concerning is the abuse by certain officials in the process. And so what our government did was, in the Eastern Cape, we've launched what is called the Integrated Medical Legal Strategy. This strategy has 4 strategic objectives, and all our projects and activities are aligned to achieving these 4 objectives. The first one was for us to stop the loss of funds through these upfront medical legal settlements. And so in November of 2021, we appeared before the Judge Griffiths, and we put a case to the court that argued that there must be other ways in which we make reparation for these cases. In that argument, we actually presented what the SIU has confirmed in its report that was released by the SIU and our minister, and that was that it is open to abuse, and so there are certain legal professionals who are abusing the situation in order to benefit from the system.
Yeah.
So that case, yes, sorry.
No, and you're more than welcome to finish that thought, but you talk about now those suspected law firms, and I want to actually single one out that was singled out by the health minister on Saturday. And in fact, what he said is, in your province, the Eastern Cape, one law firm had filed, 44 fraudulent medical legal claims, or suspected to be fraudulent, and those come to the tune of 497 million rand. That's a lot of money. And he mentions the firm Nonquba Attorneys. Are you aware of some of these particular transactions and claims that have been made by this firm? And also, what's the responsibility of the Department of Health to reach out to the patients and victims on the other side?
Yeah, thank you very much for the questions. So yes, government has been aware of it. In fact, our provincial treasury has a forensics arm. In that forensics arm, a unit was established called the Medico Legal Intervention Unit. And they then started investigating these cases where we had made medico legal settlements. There were around 397 out of the 412 cases were medico legal cases. In those investigations, they were looking for 3 kinds of cases. Firstly, whether there were fraudulent claims. Secondly, whether there was overbilling, or what we call overreach by the attorneys. And thirdly, where we suspected that there were trust fund irregularities. There were 140 cases that were associated with 4 firms where we suspected such irregularities. And our provincial treasury, our unit, then investigated those cases and reached the stage where we now have to provide affidavits to the Hawks to investigate those further together and to prosecute with the NPA. The second big area was around what we call irregular court orders investigation, which is underway. And in that particular investigation, we are looking at where there were court orders that were issued, either default judgments where we did not defend ourselves, or there were interim judgments, or we settle out of court. And the intention is to identify if there was any collusion within the system that led to those outcomes and money draining. And then the third big area is what you're referring to, Nongoba Incorporation and the attorney himself. In that case, our provincial treasury lodged a criminal case on our behalf, and that criminal case is currently at the stage, it was launched in November 2021, so we've handed that over to the Hawks for criminal investigation. Secondly, against Nongoba Inc. as well as Mr. Nongoba, at the moment there's a trial in our specialized commercial crimes courts, and there it's about a case of alleged fraud associated with 3 claims. And then there's another case against Nongoba attorney. That is in the Cape Town High Court, and it's an investigation that's currently ongoing regarding 43 alleged fraudulent claims. With the Legal Practice Council, as I think it was very widely publicized, he was suspended from practicing. This was in April of 2022. The Eastern Cape government joined the Legal Practices Council as a friend of the court, and as we are aware that judgment is now pending. I believe that arguments were heard in August 2024 on that matter. But over and above Nongoba attorneys, we also identified 25 firms that we believe are associated with possible fraud in the trust funds that they've been charged to establish and to make sure that people get their remuneration. In these cases, we've handed them over to the Legal Practice Council. I believe that disciplinary cases are underway by the LPC. And of course, where there's criminality, those are handed over for prosecution.